Hey guys, Rick here. Welcome back to the channel. Today we got a pretty cool story for you. It is about the final, and I mean the very final, Layne Staley song that never happened. Yeah, he did get born again and died in '98 with Alice in Chains, and not long after that, which would actually be his final time in the studio, was the recording of Another Brick in the Wall with the band Class of '99, where Layne sang vocals on that song. You can check that one out on YouTube, it's pretty cool. So that Another Brick in the Wall cover was actually his final time in the studio, but Layne had another song that he had set up to record. It was all scheduled, all ready to go, and that was in April of 2002. Well, we all know what happened in April of 2002, right? Layne passed away. Layne was found dead. But he did have a recording session all set to go with friend and longtime Alice in Chains producer Toby Wright. Wright had worked with Chains on Jar of Flies, their self-titled album in '95, Unplugged, and also did the final two Alice in Chains songs, Get Born Again and Died as well. And so here's the story, here's how it all went down. So right around this time, March and April of 2002, Toby Wright was working with a band called Taproot. They're an alternative rock nu metal band from Ann Arbor in Michigan. So the deal was, the lead vocalist and guitarist, Stephen Richards from Taproot, he had a song that he had written, and he wrote it for Layne, about Layne, and he wanted Layne to sing on it. And so, as I say, the band were working with Toby Wright at the time. It was on their 2002 Welcome record. And so they know Toby Wright knows Layne. So they asked him if he would ask Layne to sing on their song. As I say, this is March and April of 2002. And Layne's response was, sure, send me up a demo, I'll check it out, and if I like it, I'll sing on it. And so Wright called up Layne about a week later. Staley said, yeah, I like it, let's do it. And they set it up for it all to go down within the next few weeks. So this would have been right at the end of March of 2002. And so a few weeks later, we're coming up to around about April 19th now of 2002, Toby Wright was on his way up to see Layne to record the song, and while on his way, he got a phone call telling him the bad news that Layne Staley had been found dead. And we know that Staley was found dead April 19th, 2002. Apparently he had already been gone for a couple of weeks. So it's such an interesting story, right? Layne, who was apparently talking to nobody at that time, kept to himself, so the stories go, had agreed to do a song with Toby Wright. And so if they had set it up to do the song right at the end of March, Staley died like a week later after agreeing to do this song. His death date is April 5th. But it is no surprise that Layne was at least talking to Toby Wright. They had always maintained their friendship. Layne said he did not like to be judged. Toby Wright never did that. Staley also confided in Wright that he never liked the fame, all the hoopla that came along with it. He just wanted to do the music. So those two had always got on well, maintained that friendship. As I say, Wright did those final two songs, Get Born Again and Died, back a few years prior in '98, so those two did have that good relationship. And so what ended up happening, Toby Wright, of course, he was traveling up to see Layne to do the song that weekend. Then he got the news that Layne had just died, but he was told, hey, just keep on coming, just come up because we're going to have a candlelight vigil for him. And so he did that. And Wright just says he remembers that as being a very sad time. So Wright, he was probably one of the last people to talk to Layne Staley, you would have to say. Not the last. There are stories of Mike Starr going to see Layne the day before he died and stuff like that, so Toby Wright wouldn't have been like the last, but definitely one of the last people to speak to Layne, you'd have to say. And as I say, it would have been about a week later after agreeing to do the song that Layne actually passed, so interesting. And so, what was the song? What was that Taproot song that Layne was going to sing on? Well, originally it was going to be on that Welcome record that they were doing in 2002. They didn't end up putting it on that. It ended up going on their B-Sides CD, and you can find it on that. And the track, believe it or not, is actually called Kevin Spacey. And actually, here's kind of another sad note to bring up. When Layne's body was actually found, the only CD that they found in his apartment was that Taproot CD. Here's Stephen Richards, lead singer for Taproot, talking on the Altwire podcast about that.
And he had a studio there, and Toby was just going to throw him in the booth and say go. And so that's when we found out that he had passed, or he was found. Not that it's a cool thing, but it's like odd to know that, you know, one of your heroes, the only CD that he had in his apartment when they found him was Taproot, a CD laying there named Taproot. And so his mom called Toby and asked who Taproot was. And he was like, oh, that's who I'm working with. No, so that would have been really cool. And then after that, I just didn't even, it's a really good song. I just didn't even really want to write anything for it. To me, that was like Layne's song.
Richards continued, we tried having another guest come in and it was just like, nah, not at all, didn't work. So that's on the B-sides. And as I say, the song is called Kevin Spacey. The working title for it was just Spacey, but then it ended up morphing into Kevin Spacey. Even Stephen Richards, the lead singer, said it was an unfortunate name, but that's the one if you want to check it out. It's here on YouTube. It's just an instrumental, because as Richards said there, he didn't want to mess with it at all. It was Layne's song, so he just left it as it was. So there it goes, guys. Some of you may not have known about that one. Yeah, Layne did those songs in '98, but even right up to the week of his death, he was actually scheduled and it was planned that he was going to go in and sing another song. And the CD was apparently actually in his CD player, so he was obviously listening to it and working on it. But sadly, it never came to be, and Layne passed away. So there you go, guys. I want to say thanks heaps for tuning into the video. If you enjoyed this one, be sure to hit that thumbs up button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and we'll catch you on the next one.